The cabin lights flickered low over the Atlantic, but the real storm was brewing in row 2A. "Sir, that metal's gotta go now," the flight attendant snapped her voice, slicing through the hum of engines like a bad joke no one laughed at. Sergeant Eli Harlan didn't blink. He just sat there in his crisp Tomb Guard uniform, navy coat, starched stiff kepi hat on his lap, white gloves folded like a truce flag, staring straight ahead, calm as the marble he guarded back at Arlington. Passengers craned their necks, a few snickered into their drinks, one kid wide-eyed like it was a movie prop gone wrong. To them, he was just some overdressed vet playing soldier on a red-eye. But what no one clocked, what not even the captain whispering in the galley knew, yet, was that the Purple Heart on his chest had been forged in an Afghan ambush that took 4 lives, and the man wearing it had sworn an oath to stand silent for the unknown fallen. By Will's down, that silence was about to wake the whole damn plane. Before we dive into the story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. The roar of jet engines hummed like a distant promise as the plane taxied down the runway at Dulles International, just outside Washington, D.C. But it was the whispers that cut through the cabin air, sharp and sudden, turning a routine flight into something unforgettable. Sergeant Eli Harlan, Eli to his buddies back in Texas, sat in first class, his Tomb Guard uniform crisp as the day he'd first put it on. The navy blue coat hugged his frame, heavy with the weight of embroidered badges from Arlington National Cemetery. The gold insignia catching the overhead light like a quiet salute. His kepi hat rested on his lap, dark blue with a polished visor, and his black sunglasses were hooked over the brim. White gloves lay folded neatly beside it, still carrying the faint chalk dust from that morning's tomb patrol. On his chest, pinned right above his heart, gleamed the Purple Heart, dull purple ribbon framing a gold heart awarded for shrapnel that tore through him in the Afghan dust. Eli wasn't here to show off. He was heading home to Amarillo for a quick visit with his mom before reporting back for another shift guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. But that medal, it was about to spark a fire no one saw coming. Eli shifted in his seat, the stiff wool of his trousers brushing against the leather armrests. He'd flown this route a dozen times, D.C. to Dallas, military perks getting him up front. The flight attendant, a woman in her mid-30s with a shark uniform and sharper eyes, had boarded him without a second glance at the gate. Name tag read Lena Vargas. She was efficient, the kind of pro who'd seen every type of traveler, from Wall Street suits to wide-eyed tourists. As the plane leveled off at cruising altitude, the seatbelt sign dinged off, and the cabin settled into that low buzz of snacks being passed and screens flickering to life. Eli pulled out a worn paperback from his carry-on, a dog-eared copy of Gates of Fire, the story of Spartan warriors that always grounded him after a long patrol. He wasn't much for small talk, especially not in uniform. The Tomb Guard oath drilled that into you: precision, reverence, silence. But Lena noticed him on her second pass down the aisle, tray in hand with coffee and water. Her gaze snagged on the Purple Heart, then flicked up to the kepi, the gloves, the whole get-up. She paused, tilting her head like she'd spotted something out of place in her perfectly ordered world. "Excuse me, sir," she said politely, but edged with that professional caution. "That's quite the uniform. You with some reenactment group or something? We get folks dressed up for conventions all the time." Eli looked up slowly, his dark eyes steady under the brim of his invisible cap. He set the book down on his knee, fingers bare now, but calloused from gripping a rifle, resting lightly on the cover. "No, ma'am," he replied, his Texas drawl soft like gravel under boot soles. "I'm Sergeant Elias Harlan, 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, Tomb Guard at Arlington. Just finished a shift this morning." Lena's eyebrows arched, but not in awe, in skepticism. She glanced at the medal again, closer this time, like she was checking for a price tag. "Arlington, huh? That's impressive. But that Purple Heart there, mind if I ask where you got it? We've had passengers try to pull off replicas before, from flea markets or online. It can confuse folks, make them think it's some kind of show." The words landed like a misfired round. Eli didn't flinch, but his jaw tightened just a fraction, the same way it did during a 21-gun salute when the echoes hit too close. Around him, a few heads turned. In the row across the aisle, a young guy in a hoodie, Jake, early 20s, scrolling TikTok, paused his thumb and leaned in, phone already angled, like he smelled content gold. Behind Eli, an older woman with silver-streaked hair and a cross necklace, Mrs. Evelyn Hayes, lowered her magazine, her eyes sharpening with recognition. Eli met Lena's gaze level. Ma'am, this isn't a replica. It was awarded at Walter Reed, 2012. Shrapnel from an IED in Kandahar province. I wear it with the uniform because protocol says so, for official travel. But if it's causing an issue, you tell me how to fix it. Lena crossed her arms, the tray balanced on one hip. Protocol or not, this is my cabin. I've dealt with entitled passengers before, CEOs flashing Rolexes, influencers with fake bling. Yours just happens to be thematic. If you won't comply, I'll have to ask you to deplane at the next stop, Dallas maybe. That hit like a gut punch. Deplane for honoring the fallen? Eli's mind flashed back, not to the flight, but to the dust-choked valley in Afghanistan, the convoy rolling out at dawn, sun baking the hoods, his squad laughing about cold beers back home. Then the boom, IED ripping the lead vehicle apart, flames licking the sky. Eli had been in the second truck, door flying open as he vaulted out, gloves already on from habit, grabbing his buddy Ramirez by the collar. Shrapnel whistled past, one chunk slicing his side like hot butter. "Move, Eli, get clear," Ramirez had yelled. But Eli dragged him 20 yards through the dirt, small arms fire overhead. The docs at Bagram pulled 147 pieces from his gut. Purple Heart came a week later, pinned on a hospital gown, for wounds received in action against an enemy of the United States. The citation read. But to Eli, it was Ramirez's ghost whispering, "You wear it for me, hermano." He shook it off, back in the cabin's recycled air. "Ma'am, you ever wonder why we fight? Not for glory. For folks like you and me to argue over coffee without fear. That medal, it's the receipt. If it bothers someone, point them to me. I'll explain." Lena opened her mouth, closed it. A murmur rippled, Jake muttering, "This is going viral," Evelyn clutching her necklace. From the cockpit door, footsteps approached. Captain Ray Donovan emerged, mid-50s, salt and pepper hair under his cap. The build of a man who logged hours over hostile skies in Desert Storm. He nodded to Lena, then to Eli. "Sergeant Harlan, Captain Donovan, let's hear both sides, quick and civil." Lena jumped in first, words tumbling. "Captain, he's in full military getup. Hat, gloves, this big medal, it's drawing attention."